Hi guys, welcome back. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make banana puri. Here I've got half cup of sugar with 1 cup of water, which has been boiling for some 15 minutes now. Weak syrup. Into this I'm going to add a pinch of cardamom or elaichi. I'm going to let this boil up. This is going to be our syrup for the banana puri once it's ready at the end. Now it's almost ready. It's not too thick, it's not too weak, it's just right. I'm going to switch off the stove now and let this cool down. Okay guys, here I've got 2 cups of flour, 4.5 tablespoons of cold butter, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, 4 teaspoons of lemon juice, and that's ice water which we'll use as required. Here I've got my maizena for dusting, my flour for rolling out, and some melted butter for brushing over once we're ready to roll. First we're going to mix the baking powder with the flour, and let's just give this a whisk so it's all nicely mixed up. Once this is nicely mixed, we're going to add in the cold butter. We're going to give it a mix until it becomes fine breadcrumbs, something like that. Banana puri is a crispy fried dough which is extremely divine. Some find it difficult to make in getting the pattern. It doesn't matter if you don't get the shape right, as long as we have the taste. Just both our hands and mix this up. Okay. The reason why we use ice cold water and lemon juice is because we want the crispiness when it's done. It doesn't get soggy. Now this is nicely mixed up into fine like breadcrumbs. We're going to start the mixing process with the lemon juice and the iced water. Okay. Now we're going to add in the lemon juice and then the ice cold water as required, as you're making a little bit of a stiff dough, not too soft, but until everything is combined and we have a nice dough. A little bit more water. Not too much, as we need stiff dough. You just smash it down with the spoon so that all your crumbs and your flour and your butter is mixed up nicely together. Oops. Okay. Just gonna put in like a tablespoon more. I'm going to give it a good mix. Just going to clean my spoon like this. I'm going to give it a good mix until we've got a nice dough. All come together nicely. Nice and cold. Just give it a good stirring. You can see, have a nice dough. So now I'm going to give it a knead on the countertop little bit of flour, and we're going to start cutting out our ball size shapes. That's my plain flour. Just dusting the countertop. Place that in. I'm going to need kind of like making roti, but with different ingredients. See, it's not too soft, it's not too hard. It's just a pliable dough. Okay, let's roll it out into a nice long log, and we're gonna cut them into 6 or 8 if you want. I mean, the more layers we have, the more it will open up. They don't have to be even size again. Let's dip this in some flour. But they must be nice and big. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. There you go. So now I'm going to roll them into round balls, and then we're going to start rolling them out. Okay, let's start rolling them out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 balls. There you go. This doesn't have to be perfect in shape, like I said. When we're ready to cut them into shape, then we're going to give them a trim. Okay. Let's start. Let's just flour a rolling pin. We're going to get this as thin as possibly that we can get it done. Just keep on turning so it doesn't get stuck to your rolling board. You can also use maizena if you want to do the dough when you're rolling out. Do that. So it's much more crispier when you're ready to fry. Like I said, they're not perfectly round. We still have to trim them once they are ready to be cut. You see it's nice and thin, it's stretching out nicely. If it's not too thin now, it's fine, because after we stack them, we're still going to roll them out again. There you go. There's number 1 done. It's almost paper-like. Let's do it in maizena again. It's nice and soft. This is quite easy to make, however some think that it's rather time consuming. These look like my rotis like world maps. Just make sure when we're stacking, we put in some flour so they don't stick until we're ready to layer them. Second one done, another 4 more to go. We're down to our last one now. Let's roll it out. it's an easy process to roll it. Since we're not worried about shapes. That's my daughter. Okay, now that we're done rolling our 6 brushes out, we're going to start layering them. But beforehand, let's just do this. Sprinkle the countertop with some flour, as we don't want the last layer to get stuck. Okay? You see, it's a pretty spreadable dough. So I'm going to just brush it with some butter. Not completely, just a here and there. Just dab it on. It's a bit of a sticky, messy job, but it's fun. I promise you, when you're eating it, then you're going to say, oh, it doesn't matter. Okay? Now that we've done that, we're going to sprinkle it. Let's do it with this. With some maizena, so that the layers open up when we fry. All the way through the sides. Now I'm going to stick on the next layer. Don't worry about it being off shape and not fitting the previous roti dough, because we are going to trim it soon. Another one. Put some butter. You can use ghee if you like. I prefer using butter. The tip to getting a crispy banana puri is putting this in the fridge after we're done rolling and cutting it out. Putting it into the fridge and putting the cold banana puri into hot oil. So it's crispier and flakier. Let's dust again. Nicely dusted. That's the next one going on. See, they haven't stuck to each other because of the maizena and the flour. You can use a brush, or you can use a towel, a small tiny tea towel, to dust it, to smooth on the butter. But as you can see, I'm not making sure every piece has butter. I'm just dabbing it on. One. This is our 4th one. Just gonna stretch it out like that. I'm gonna put on the butter again. This is the last one. As you can see, it's not that of a mission, just that time consuming, like I said before, but it's quite simple to do. Some people even make it a round in shape, or some do them in the rectangular diamond shape. It all depends on you. It doesn't have to be the shape it's meant to be. Whatever suits your fancy, that's what you go for. Whatever's easier. The thing about cooking and baking, it's not about making it hard. You do what you think is easiest and best for you. The last one. Just going to stretch it out. Now that we have them put together, I'm just going to dust it with some maizena. Alright. Now if you try to lift it, it lifts up. Let's give it a turn. There you go. As you can see, the different layers in my messy hands. But we are going to roll this out now. Right? It's going to get really big and really thin. But we're going to cut it out shortly. Like I said, it doesn't matter if it's round or it's square or it's a world map. I'm just going to turn this over now. I can do the other side. So that side's flat compared to this side. Just make sure you flatten it enough. Go. You don't see all the layers now because we're rolling it out. But you can see the sides that are uneven. I'll turn it over again one last time. On the side here, there you can see the layers. We're going to roll it out a bit more. Okay, now that it's nice and rolled out, we are going to trim this and get our shape here. I've got a tray which I'm going to be using to cut my banana puri and transfer into while it goes into the fridge to cool. Just going to cut off the sides and try and even it out into like a square. Go. There's just a bit here on the side. There you go. And put them on this side. Doesn't have to be evenly squared. Okay. You're going to cut them into strips. You can do it as thick as you want or as thin as you want. It's totally up to you. We'll do some thick and we'll do some thin. You should get about 12 in here, a dozen. I think this is the part that actually confuses people in folding the banana puri. Doing some thin strips. And we'll do some thick on the other side. It's the cutting and the folding of it. It doesn't matter how thick or thin you cut it. This one is super thick. Thinner. We can get two more on the other side. Yes, we can. There you go. Now, we're going to start to fold this. As you can see, this is super thin after putting in 6 rotis together. Right. So here's our dough. Right. You need to trim it a bit, you can. So what we're going to do is we're going to give it one fold. If you need it to stick, just take a bit of water. There you go. Because remember, we're still going to roll it out after this. Okay. On the ends here again, a bit of water. You just cut this bit out. There you go. You're going to flatten it down. Okay. Let me do them all and then we're going to cut them and roll them again. Okay, now that we've cut them, we're going to start rolling them. You're going to hold it onto its side. If you think it's a bit hard for you to roll, just dip it in some corn flour, press it down, corn flour maizena, and roll it down center like that. Doesn't have to be so thick. So next one, flatten it down with your hand and then give it a roll to the side like this. From this here, you're going to store it in the fridge so it gets nice and cold. It's quite simple, as you can see. Flatten it and roll it. Give it a turn. So next one, flatten it and roll it. It might not look like banana puri now, but once it hits that hot oil, I promise you it's something else. It's exactly what you want it to be. Go. Flatten it and roll it. To the last few. Okay guys, that we roll this out, we are going to put this into the fridge for 20 minutes until it's nice and cold. By the time we clear up and get the oil heated, let's just wait 20 minutes. Guys, we're back now. This has cooled up nicely in the fridge. It's nice and chilled. Now we're going to put this into piping hot oil. Just do it like that. First, we're going to ladle some oil over the banana puri. We're going to open up some of these layers. Once it's opened up, as you can see, the layers are opening. We're going to pull it apart with a fork so each layer cooks nicely and cooks through. See, it's opened up. Now we're going to flip it over and do the same on the other side. Just going to put it lightly, not too hard. And that it's opening up, I'm going to layer oil over it again. Make sure your oil is hot so it crisps up nicely all the way through. I keep on layering the oil over the layers so every layer is cooked. You can do them 2 at a time if you've got someone to help you, or 1 at a time. As you can see, it's crisping up all the way through. It takes about 40 seconds on each side. As you can see, this one is nicely crisped up. I'm going to remove this from the oil. Let it drain out. As you can see, all the oil draining out. I'm going to put this to drain with the others. Do another one. Hot oil again over the layers. There you go. Now I'm going to pull it apart again with the fork. As you can see, when you ladle the oil over, it starts to open on its own. This is just helping it with the fork. There you go. Give it a turn over. Pull these sides apart. Now I'm going to ladle the oil over on the other side. As you can see, it's nice and light and flaky. It's not a heavy dough because we rolled it out quite a bit. Turn it over again. Do the same on this side so it's nice and crisp. Now we're going to take this out. Nicely done. You can hear it's crispy. There you go. Just make sure to get all the oil out. do the next one. Guys, doing the last one now. Put some hot oil over. Remember, just by spooning the oil over and swishing it around with the spoon in the center will also open it. Open up the layers. As you can see, it is, but using a fork as well will also open it up. The last one that we're doing, I'm just going to flip it over. Here as well, I'm just going to swish it through the oil so it cooks through the layers. And I'm going to spoon the hot oil over. See, they've puffed up nicely, it's nice and big. Turn, do the same on the other side. It's actually quick fry because the pastry is so light and thin. See? Can you hear that? That's the sound the pastry cooked the side as well. Let's swish it through again to make sure it's nicely done. And then we're going to soak it in syrup. Not actually soak it, we're going to drizzle it with syrup. Take this one out. And there you have it, guys. Our dozen of banana puri ready to be soaked in syrup. As you can see, I've made the syrup earlier. That's the lychee pods that's in there. Here what I've done, for those who don't like it too sweet, I've got some coconut that I've colored with some icing sugar. So if we want, we can just take it and dip it in this. And there you have it. That's the first one. We do some in coconut and some in syrup. Just gotta take it and run it through like this. There you have it. Those that are hard to grab, we're just gonna sprinkle it over like so. Dust it off. Let's do another few more. Some of them are actually lighter in color, some of them are darker in color. It doesn't matter because they still taste good. This one's a bit darker in color. Also the coconut, if you want, is also a good camouflage if you don't want to show them the darker color. Okay, we have done 6 like that. Now I'm going to do some of them in syrup. So what I'm going to do is just going to line them up in this plate. They're all nice and cool now. So I'm going to line them up in this plate. What I'm going to do is just drizzle the syrup over it like so. So it's nicely going through. My daughter's standing here after playing outside waiting for the banana puri. It's actually her favorite. And to this, I'm just going to sprinkle on some almonds, which I've colored, like so. The last one. And there we have it. Oh, I missed one. There you go. Nice sprinkling of almonds. And there we have it. And there you have it, guys. Our banana puri done and dusted. Easy peasy. Don't forget to like, share, comment, hit the bell button, subscribe. Thank you guys for watching. Take care. God bless.